Welcome back to Mindful Objective, the show where we explore health through an integrative and practical lens. I'm your host, Dr. Daniel Sproul, integrative health practitioner and professor. Today we're talking about something most people have never heard of, IP6, also known as inositol hexaphosphate. Say that really fast. It's a naturally occurring compound found in foods such as brown rice, legumes, nuts, and even seeds. It also sometimes called phytic acid, and while it's labeled of years as an anti-nutrient, newer research shows IP6 may do far more good than harm when used properly. Again, everything when used properly, right? What catches attention now is how IP6 appears to support healthy cellular function, antioxidant balance, and immune system activity. In laboratory and animal studies, it's been shown to help regulate how cells communicate, grow, and protect themselves from oxidative stress, one of the underlying factors in many chronic health conditions. In this episode, we'll unpack what IP6 is, why researchers are so interested in it, and how it might fit in your integrative wellness plan. We also explore the difference between what's proven, what's promising, and what still needs more research. Finally, I'll share how we approach nutrients like IP6 at Mindful Objective, again, through data-driven functional testing and individualized plans that help people make informed decisions about their own health. As always, this show's for educational purposes only. We don't diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or disease. So again, let's go ahead and get into it. If you never heard of IP6, well, you're not alone. It's not mainstream nutrient like vitamin D or magnesium, yet it plays quite an important role in how our cells function, communicate, and repair themselves. IP6 stands for inositol hexaphosphate, a naturally occurring compound that's made from inositol. It's a type of carbohydrate that's part of every cell membrane, combined with 6 phosphate groups. The structure gives it ability to bind to minerals and interact with enzymes that influence how cells grow and protect themselves. You naturally get IP6 through food. It's especially abundant in whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds. That very same foods link with longevity, lower rates of chronic disease. When you eat lentils, almonds, oats, and brown rice, you're already consuming it without even realizing it. For years, IP6 was misunderstood. It was labeled as an anti-nutrient because of its ability to bind to minerals like iron, zinc, and calcium in the digestive tract. That label caused people to assume IP6 was harmful and interfered with nutrient absorption. But modern science tells us now a different story. At normal dietary levels, IP6 isn't the problem. In fact, it appears to protect cells from oxidative damage and support healthy immune and metabolic function. Again, the key is balance. IP6 in the whole food diet contributes to health the same way fiber does, by gently regulating the body's internal chemistry, right? That's what it's there for. Like fiber, it also helps keep blood sugar steady and supports your microbiome, both which are major factors in inflammation control. The scientific interest in IP6 grew when researchers noticed that people who consume more plant-based diets tend to have lower rates of certain chronic diseases. When scientists began studying the compounds found in these foods, IP6 emerged as a strong antioxidant and cellular regulator. It doesn't work like a drug or a stimulant. Instead, it supports natural cellular housekeeping, ongoing process of repairing DNA, removing damaged cells, and maintaining communication between those tissues. Now, in lab studies, IP6 has been shown to modulate signaling pathways linked to inflammation and oxidative stress. For example, researchers observed that it can slow overactive cell growth and promote balance in your cell cycle regulation. These findings are why IP6 is now being studied for its potential role in supporting normal cellular function and immune system health. From an integrative health perspective, this is what makes IP6 so interesting. It doesn't force the body in one direction. It supports the body's natural tendency towards balance, what we often call homeostasis. Whether you're focused on prevention, recovery, or long-term vitality, that's the foundation we always build upon. It's also worth mentioning that IP6 doesn't just act in isolation. It's part of a synergistic network of nutrients found in whole foods. Compounds like polyphenols, magnesium, and fiber all work together to lower inflammation and oxidative stress. When you eat balanced plant-forward diet, you're not just getting one molecule, you're getting a symphony of nutrients that work in harmony. For those who struggle with chronic fatigue, inflammation, and sluggish recovery, learning about nutrients like IP6 helps shift that mindset away from quick fixes towards cellular nourishment, feeding your body what it needs to rebuild from the inside out. At Mindful Objective, Integrative Health and Wellness, we often explain that good health starts at the cellular level. When cells have the right nutrients, energy improves, immunity strengthens, and your body becomes more resilient. IP6 is one of those nutrients that perfectly fits into that philosophy, not as a replacement for medical care, but as a complement to your body's built in healing design. Let your body heal itself. So, in simple terms, IP6 is a plant based compound that helps your body stay in balance under stress, protects cells from oxidation, and keeps your immune system communicating effectively. It's one of nature's quiet protectors. And while most people never heard of it, the research community certainly has. Now that we have the sense of what IP6 is and where it comes from, let's understand what science has actually discovered about it. This is where things get fascinating. Because while IP6 is found in simple foods like beans and brown rice, the way it behaves inside the body is anything but simple. For decades, scientists dismissed IP6 as that byproduct of a plant metabolism, but as analytical tools improved, researchers began seeing patterns. Populations that ate more legumes, nuts, and whole grains, the same foods which are rich in IP6, consistently showed lower levels of chronic inflammation and better long-term health outcomes in the people. And that observation opened the door on exploring what IP6 was doing inside the body. And one of the earliest clues came from laboratory studies. Researchers noticed that IP6 helped regulate the cell cycle, meaning it helps cells when they divide, rest, and self-destruct if damaged. So in plain English, IP6 acts like a quality control supervisor. It encourages normal cells to thrive while gently nudging unhealthy ones out towards balance. That process is called apoptosis. This is the body's natural cleanup mechanism. So further studies in cell culture and animal models revealed more. IP6 appeared to limit excessive oxidative stress. So that's the same process responsible for aging, inflammation, and DNA damage. In animal studies, when IP6 was added to the diet, researchers saw a reduction in tumor growth rates, improved immune system response, and more stable antioxidant markers. These are early findings, but these spark interest in potential to support overall wellness and cellular protection. One particular interesting point from research is that IP6 seems to act selectively. It doesn't harm normal, healthy cells. Instead, it seems to identify and calm down overactive ones. That selectivity makes it unique among plant-based nutrients and helps explain why it's so well tolerated in all these different studies. In the past decade, the research shifted towards human quality of life studies, especially in people undergoing stressful treatments or managing chronic conditions. A small clinical study published in a Journal of Experimental and Clinical Cancer Research examined the use of IP6 combined with inositol for breast cancer patients receiving chemotherapy. The results were encouraging. Patients who received a supplement maintained better energy, appetite, and blood counts compared to those who did not take it. They also reported higher quality of life and fewer drops in immune function. That's what they need, especially at those critical and vital times in their life. But it's important to emphasize what it means and what it doesn't. The results don't mean IP6 treats cancer. What they suggest is IP6 may support the body's ability to stay strong during periods of stress by protecting normal cells and supporting immune resilience. From an integrative health standpoint, this is very valuable. Helping someone feel better, maintaining energy, and recovering faster is the body's natural healing environment. It's where you got to get yourself. Beyond oncology research, other studies have looked at IP6's role in metabolic and inflammatory pathways. It appears to lower markers of oxidative stress in the liver. It regulates iron metabolism and enhances the body's internal antioxidant system, such as glutathione. Since chronic inflammation and oxidative stress underline many conditions, from fatigue to hormone imbalances to cardiovascular issues, these findings help explain why IP6 has become such a key focus in integrative nutrition. That said, we still have gaps. Large human trials are limited and dosing protocols vary. Researchers are still determining how much IP6 is needed for specific outcomes, how much is best absorbed, and how it interacts with other nutrients or medications. That's why it's so crucial to approach it with a structured plan rather than just trying it on your own. Again, at Mindful Objective, we use functional lab testing to help guide those decisions. For example, if a client's oxidative stress markers, inflammatory labs, or iron levels suggest imbalance, IP6 may be discussed as part of their support plan. But as always, alongside nutrition, sleep, and stress management, this approach ensures safety, personalization, and measurable progress. The bottom line with the research is IP6 is a compound with growing body of evidence showing antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, and immune supportive properties. It's not a miracle pill. It's a cellular protector that works best part with a comprehensive health strategy. So in many ways, IP6 represents that modern integrative medicine is becoming, a bridge between nutritional science and practical wellness. It has shown us that compounds from our food can profoundly influence how our cells behave, how we age, and how we respond to stress. It's very important, right? Nutrition matters. So now when we do talk about IP6, the most important thing to remember is that it's not that quick fix, right? Those don't exist. It's a supportive nutrient that best when worked in a foundation in your health of what you already have in place. The body is designed to heal, repair, and regulate itself, but that only happens when the environment inside your body allows for it. This is what we often call the terrain. The terrain includes everything from your nutrition and sleep quality to stress levels, digestion, and your exposure to toxins. When these areas are balanced, your cells communicate effectively, inflammation stays in check, and energy levels are steady. When they're not, you start to see symptoms: fatigue, brain fog, immune challenges, and even slow recovery. IP6 fits into this picture as one of those compounds that supports that terrain rather than just masking your symptoms. So let's talk about what it means in practice. Integrative health, we often think of terms of layers of support. The first layer is always the foundation: real food, movement, hydration, rest, and emotional balance. Once those are all in place, the next layer involves specific tools to help fine-tune the body's internal communication system. That's where IP6 comes into play. For example, let's say someone's functional labs show elevated oxidative stress markers, and this is meaning that the body's under more cellular pressure than it should be. Maybe they've been exposed to environmental toxins, have an unbalanced diet, or they're constantly under stress, right? That chronic stress. In those cases, nutrients that support antioxidant balance like IP6 can help calm that storm. By supporting normal detox and repair mechanisms, IP6 allows the body to focus on healing instead of constantly putting out those fires. Another example is immune system balance. The immune system isn't just about fighting off colds. It's a body surveillance system, always scanning for abnormal activity. Research shows that IP6 can modulate immune signaling, which means it supports appropriate activation. Not too little, not too much. That's especially useful for people who feel like their immune system is either overactive, such as inflammation, allergies, fatigue, or underperforming. They get sick often or even slow recovery. Now again, IP6 doesn't work alone. It pairs well with other nutrients and habits that support cellular health. For instance, magnesium. Magnesium helps regulate cellular energy and complements IP6 antioxidants properties. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil or algae oil, those calm inflammation and protect cell membranes. Vitamin D supports immune regulation, which synergizes with what IP6 balancing effect does. Curcumin from turmeric provides additional anti-inflammatory benefit that enhances overall resilience. So these aren't random additions. They represent a coordinated approach to creating a body's environment that resists disease. What makes this approach different from conventional models is that we don't wait for a crisis to act. We focus on prevention, early intervention, and long-term balance. So when someone works with us at Mindful Objective, we start with functional lab testing to establish a baseline. We look at things like nutrient status, oxidative stress, hormone balance, and your inflammation levels. From there, we personalize a plan that matches their biology. No guessing, no cookie-cutter protocols. If labs show high oxidative stress or low antioxidant capacity, we may discuss IP6 as one of those broader protocols. It's always introduced gradually alongside foundational lifestyle adjustments. This way, clients can see how their body responds. This is what separates evidence-informative integrative care from internet trends. It's data-driven and it's individualized, right? Per person. What clients often find surprising is how quickly their energy improves once these systems are supported. So within a few weeks of balancing nutrition, hydration, and antioxidant levels, they start noticing fewer afternoon crashes, better sleep, and steadier focus. Over time, those small improvements compound to notable shifts in vitality. That's why we always remind people that supplements like IP6 aren't about replacing medical treatment. They're about enhancing the body's own ability to perform. So whether you're in prevention phase or working alongside medical care, the goal is to strengthen that foundation from everything else that depends on it. And from a business perspective, this educational-based approach is what sets Mindful Objective apart. We don't just sell quick solutions, we build on understanding. People come to us not for just supplements, but for clarity. They want to know why they're taking something, how it fits into their lab results, and what the outcomes they could expect. That level of transparency helps us build trust, and that trust builds transformation. So if you're listening and you're dealing with fatigue, inflammation, or immune challenges, know that there's a way forward. Supporting your cells with the right nutrients like IP6 is one of the larger paths. A path focused on restoring communication, balance, and that long-term health. As we touch on supplements, whenever we do discuss a supplement, especially one gaining attention, safety and context are non-negotiable. That's exactly how we approach IP6. The same with other supplements. While research is encouraging, every compound has its ideal setting, its right timing, and its boundaries. IP6 is no exception to that. Let's start with safety. At dietary levels, meaning you'd get naturally from whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, IP6 is completely safe for most people. It's been a normal part of the human diet for centuries. In supplement form, it's also well tolerated in clinical studies, even in moderate doses. But because IP6 has a natural ability to bind to minerals, it needs to be thought out carefully. That binding effect, called chelation, is one of the ways IP6 supports detox and antioxidant balance. It combines iron, which helps reduce oxidative stress in certain contexts. But if someone's already struggles with low iron, zinc, or calcium, taking high-dose IP6 could worsen those deficiencies over time. That's why testing matters. Before anyone starts a new supplement, it's smart to check their baseline mineral levels, either through functional labs or standard blood work. Another consideration is medication interaction. IP6 may mildly affect platelet aggregation, meaning it could thin the blood slightly. Not majorly, but slightly. This is a major concern for most people, but if you're taking anticoagulants, blood thinning medications, and have a bleeding disorder, this should be discussed with your healthcare provider. Likewise, if you're preparing for surgery, most practitioners recommend discontinuing supplements that influence clotting a week or two in advance. So at Mindful Objective, we follow a simple, evidence-informed process. Step 1, just like these podcasts, education. Understanding what the nutrient does and what your body actually needs. Step 2 is the assessment. Using functional lab testing to identify deficiencies, imbalances, and signs of oxidative stress. Step 3, personalization. Creating a plan that includes nutrition, lifestyle, and only supplements that make sense for your individual biochemistry. It's always specific to you as an individual based on your labs. So when IP6 is appropriate, we usually start low dose and adjust gradually. Most research has explored doses between 500 milligrams and 2,000 milligrams per day, often divided in the morning and evening. Some studies go higher under supervision, but more isn't always better. The goal is to find the lowest effective dose that provides support without disturbing mineral balance. Same with a lot of medications, right? A lot of people, right away jump on the highest dose of a depression pill or a anxiety pill or a blood pressure pill. What if you don't need 100 milligrams? What if you only need 10 and it works the same? So it's something to think about. Timing can make a difference too. Because IP6 binds minerals, it's often best taken away from meals and mineral supplements. For example, mid-morning or before bed. That spacing helps ensure it does its antioxidant and detox work without interfering with nutrient absorption from your food. Monitoring is where functional lab testing shines. If IP6 is added to a plan, we recheck labs periodically to make sure the markers like ferritin, zinc, and inflammatory levels remain in their correct ranges. This is the safest, most responsible way to support those compounds without guessing. Right? You can't manage that if you don't measure it. So in terms of sourcing, quality matters more than quantity. The supplement industry is largely unregulated and product purity can vary. Again, at Mindful Objective, we offer professional supplements through our dispensary at 20% off retail, which makes professional quality options more affordable than most stores or online brands. This ensures you're getting exactly what the label claims, nothing extra, right? You don't need those fillers. We also emphasize one core truth. IP6 should never replace medical treatment. It's designed to support the body's natural balance, not to diagnose, treat, or cure disease. So if you're in active care, whether that's chronic inflammation, hormone imbalances, or cancer support, always share your full supplemental list with your physician or oncologist team. So what does it look like again in practice? Let's say a client's been feeling drained and their labs show high oxidative stress, foundational lifestyle shifts, right? Better sleep routine, stress support, and whole food nutrition, and what else? Hydration. If labs confirm to be appropriate, we can add an IP6, right? Start at that lowest dose. Over time, we monitor improvements in energy, inflammation, and mineral balance. That process turns supplements into tools, not guesses. When used correctly, IP6 is gentle, supportive, and empowering. It reminds us that healing doesn't always come from something new. Sometimes it's about rediscovering the power of natural compounds that have been in our food all along. So now let's take a step back and look at everything we covered so far in IP6. This makes things a little clearer. That this compound is a perfect example of what integrative health is all about. It's not flashy, it's not new, it's not a magical cure. It's naturally occurring nutrient that has been in our food for centuries, quietly doing its work to support balance, protection, and communication at that cellular level. The science behind IP6, again, like we said before, it's still developing. But what we already know, it's meaningful, very meaningful. It helps support antioxidant defenses, modulates inflammation, and assists with the immune system in staying responsive but not overactive. It promotes the kind of calm that our body needs, something many of us could use more of given our fast paced world we live in, right? Fast paced, high stress environment. Now let's talk about who might benefit from learning about IP6. If you're someone who feels run down, inflamed, or like your energy never quite recovers even with good habits, it might be worth looking deeper. If you have a family medical history of chronic illness, or if you've been through intense medical treatments and you're now rebuilding your strength, this is where IP6 and other antioxidant compounds come into play for that supportive role. At Mindful Objective, we focus on the idea of building from the inside out. When we evaluate functional lab results, things like oxidative stress markers, detox pathways, and mineral balance, we often see patterns that explain why someone isn't feeling their best. Sometimes the issue isn't what presents itself in the body, it's what's missing from the body. The nutrients that help your cells clear waste, make energy, and communicate effectively. That's where components like IP6, magnesium, CoQ10, glutathione come into play. They support the body's ability to heal itself, which is the foundation of integrative care. When a client's labs show excessive oxidative stress or signs of cellular strain, IP6 may be a part of their wellness plan, but it's never the first step. The first step is awareness. The second is data. The third is consistency. Supplements come later after we understand the full picture and have already started building better habits. It's like nourishing meals, right? You need nourishing meals. You need hydration. You need movement. You need quality of sleep. We always talk about it. That's what makes this approach different from chasing trends online. You don't have to experiment blindly or follow whatever the latest article says. Instead, you can make decisions based on evidence, your own lab results, your body's feedback, and practitioner's guidance. And this is typically how it works in practice. Someone comes to us feeling exhausted or inflamed. We start with functional lab review. We look at those key markers for stress. We look for nutrient deficiencies. We look for that metabolic balance. Together, we identify what's driving their symptoms. Then we build simple step-by-step plan to correct it, starting with nutrition, daily movement, rest routines. Once that foundation is stable, we can strategically add supportive nutrients like IP6 and other that fit their unique needs. Again, it's individualized. What clients love most about this process is the clarity it brings. Instead of guessing what's wrong or self-supplementing with things that may not help, they finally understand what their body's actually asking for and how to support it safely. And at that point, it's empowering. And this is where the business side and the mission of Mindful Objective intersect beautifully. Our work isn't about selling supplements, right? It's about helping people become active partners in their own health. We provide the tools, the education, professional grade supplements, and lab testing at accessible prices so that anyone can make those informed decisions. Then on top of that, we offer that 20% off retail on the supplements because quality shouldn't be out of reach for anyone that seriously needs it for their health. IP6 is just one example of how functional integrative health bridge that gap between research and that real life. Represents the deeper truth that the body wants to heal when given the right environment. Our role as practitioners is a clear path, right? Remove the guesswork and teach people how to build that foundation one step at a time. So whether you're curious about your own oxidative stress levels and if IP6 could fit into your plan or simply ready to take your health to the next level, start getting the data. You could visit mindfulobjective.com, again, mindfulobjective.com, learn about our functional lab testing options, and take the first step towards that clarity. As we wrap things up, remember, because once you know what's happening inside your body, everything else becomes a lot simpler. You stop guessing, you start building, you start healing from the inside out. So again, that wraps up this episode, Mindful Objective. We explored IP6, what it is, and what research says, and how it can fit in your personalized integrative wellness plan. If you'd like to learn more about functional lab testing, personalized protocols, or professional grade supplements at 20% off, again, visit mindfulobjective.com. or visit us on social media at Mindful Objective, all one word. Educational purposes only and should never be taken as medical advice. Always consult with your qualified healthcare provider before making changes to your healthcare plan. Thanks for listening. Until next time, stay mindful, stay healthy, and stay empowered.